Our story kicks off with an intense scene, a massive aircraft soaring through the sky above endless ocean waters. The weather conditions are absolutely terrible, with dark clouds and violent winds battering the aircraft from every direction. Inside this doomed plane, we spot a woman clutching a machine gun tightly in her hands. Without warning, a ferocious storm strikes the aircraft with devastating force, sending it spiraling wildly out of control. Within moments, the entire plane plummets downward and crashes violently into the deep ocean below. Fast forward to modern times. We find ourselves on a gorgeous tropical island with crystal-clear waters and white sandy beaches. Several people are exploring the underwater world through scuba diving. This is where we first encounter our main character, Jerry, who works as a scuba diving instructor on this beautiful island. After completing a dive, Jerry comes back to the surface, only to get an earful from his boss who complains that Jerry took way too much time underwater. Jerry loses his cool completely and responds by pushing his boss straight into the water. Next, we meet Sam, who happens to be Jerry's girlfriend. She works as a tour guide, showing visitors around the island and sharing interesting facts about the local attractions and city landmarks. When Sam finishes her work shift, she heads home to the place she shares with Jerry. When she arrives, she discovers Jerry hard at work bailing buckets of water out of his small, worn-out boat. Money is extremely tight for this young couple right now. They're completely broke and struggling to make ends meet. Sam walks over to check on Jerry, who excitedly tells her about his new plan to search for hidden treasure somewhere deep in the ocean. He explains that during the recent massive storm, another diver stumbled upon an ancient gold artifact buried underwater and became incredibly wealthy overnight. Jerry is desperately hoping to find something similar and change their lives forever. While Jerry continues bailing water from his leaky boat, he accidentally injures himself. Sam quickly rushes to his side, but she's smiling warmly as she tells him something important. She's genuinely happy being with him. Even though they don't have money, she doesn't care that they're poor or that they ride around on a rusty old scooter. Her love for him isn't based on wealth. Right at that moment, an expensive luxury yacht slowly cruises past them. A man standing on the fancy boat yells Jerry's name. Sam points toward the impressive vessel. The wealthy man, whose name is George, grins widely and mentions that ever since the big storm hit, he's been taking his boat out into the deep waters every day, searching for valuable treasures. George asks Jerry if he's available and interested in working for him on his treasure hunting expeditions. Jerry takes a moment to think carefully about this offer. Finally, he agrees to work with George, but only under specific conditions. He demands a proper written contract and insists that whatever treasure they discover must be split evenly between them. 50-50, no exceptions. George absolutely hates Jerry's terms and conditions. Feeling insulted, he steers his luxurious boat away and leaves without another word. A bit later, Sam and Jerry are driving together on their old scooter. Jerry opens up to Sam about his feelings, explaining that he absolutely refuses to become anyone's slave ever again. He shares his painful history. He worked extremely hard for George in the past, but while George kept getting richer and richer, Jerry remained stuck in the same poor situation. He strongly dislikes George's unfair methods of doing business. Sam smiles sweetly and reassures him that she doesn't care whether he works for George or stays independent. She loves him exactly as he is, with or without money. We meet Derek and his girlfriend Amanda. This couple is visiting the same tropical island for a vacation. Derek and Jerry go way back. They're childhood buddies who haven't seen each other in years, and they're absolutely thrilled to reunite after such a long time apart. The four friends, Derek, Jerry, Sam, and Amanda, decide to explore the island together. Derek takes them to see an absolutely stunning beachfront mansion. He explains the interesting story behind how he got access to this place. Derek works as a lawyer, and he recently helped a criminal client get released from jail. As payment for his legal services, the grateful client allowed Derek to stay in this incredible beach house for several days completely free. Even better, the house came with a private boat that they could use whenever they wanted. Jerry's eyes practically light up like fireworks when he hears about the boat. This was the exact opportunity he'd been desperately waiting for. A chance to search for treasure in the deep ocean waters without having to rent expensive equipment or work for someone like George. After settling in, all four friends take the private boat out onto the sparkling blue ocean. The water stretches endlessly in every direction. The sky is bright and clear, and everyone feels an amazing sense of freedom and adventure. They navigate to a spot with very deep water, put on all their scuba diving gear, and jump into the ocean one by one. Underwater, the group is having an absolute blast, swimming around and playing with each other like kids. Then something unfortunate happens. Jerry's wristwatch accidentally slips off and begins sinking slowly into the dark depths below. He quickly tells Sam to hand him his diving mask and flippers because his watch has fallen and he's determined to retrieve it. Without hesitating for even a second, Jerry takes a deep breath and dives back down into the water. He swims deeper and deeper, searching everywhere for his lost watch. Then his hand suddenly bumps against something unexpected, a heavy black stone resting on the ocean floor. He grabs hold of the mysterious stone and kicks his way back up to the surface. Back on the boat, Jerry shows everyone the unusual black stone he found. He explains that this is no ordinary rock. Years ago, people used stones exactly like this one as special markers. This particular stone could be part of a much larger treasure hidden somewhere nearby. He enthusiastically tells everyone to dive back down, convinced that there might be more valuable items hidden in that same area. So Jerry, Sam, Derek, and Amanda all put their gear back on and dive into the ocean once more. Down in the underwater world, they discover several broken artifacts scattered across the seafloor. They begin the slow process of bringing these items up to the boat one at a time, carefully examining each piece. Then Jerry spots something truly spectacular. An old dagger with a sheath made of pure gold and a handle completely covered in sparkling diamonds. He brings the dagger up to the boat and announces excitedly, "This isn't just any ordinary dagger. It's made of solid gold, and those are real diamonds. This thing could be worth an absolute fortune." Now everyone's interest level shoots through the roof. They immediately dive back into the ocean, and that's when Jerry makes an incredible discovery. He spots a wrecked airplane resting on the ocean floor. This is the exact same plane that crashed during the terrible storm at the very beginning of our story. The four friends swim closer to investigate the mysterious aircraft. Amanda bravely peeks inside through one of the broken windows and immediately sees a dead body. The corpse's face is completely destroyed and unrecognizable from spending so much time underwater. Amanda freaks out completely and rushes back to the boat as fast as she can swim, terrified by what she just witnessed. Meanwhile, Jerry, Derek, and Sam decide to swim inside the plane to investigate further. Inside the wreckage, they discover numerous red packets scattered everywhere. Derek tears one of the packets open and white powder spills out. But this isn't just any powder, it's cocaine, and the entire plane is absolutely loaded with packages of it. Derek grabs one packet and quickly swims back to the boat with it. A short while later, Sam notices the cocaine packet. She immediately grabs it and starts to throw it into the ocean, wanting nothing to do with drugs. Derek tries desperately to stop her. Jerry arrives at that exact moment, doesn't say a single word, calmly pulls out the gold dagger, cuts the packet open with the sharp blade, and dumps all the cocaine directly into the ocean water. That night, as darkness settles over the island, Derek asks Jerry if he genuinely believes there could be real treasure hidden underwater near that plane. Sam answers the question, explaining that powerful storms often bring objects with them from far away, sometimes even valuable treasures from sunken ships. Jerry, Sam, Derek, and Amanda sit together discussing all the mysterious things they discovered under that crashed plane. Jerry explains that just days earlier, a terrible hurricane passed through this area. These kinds of massive storms often shake up and disturb the ocean floor dramatically. The underwater mud and sand shift around, and secrets that have been hidden for years suddenly get uncovered and exposed. Sometimes the powerful ocean currents even carry objects to completely different locations, far from where they originally sank. Sam informs everyone about an important legal issue they need to consider. She explains that according to the local laws on this island, if anyone finds treasure or ancient historical artifacts underwater, they're legally required to file an official claim with the authorities. Then the conversation shifts to the drug-filled plane where they found the dead body. Derek quickly jumps in and blurts out that the plane obviously wasn't on any legitimate mission. Those people were clearly drug dealers transporting illegal substances. He adds firmly that they absolutely shouldn't tell anyone about that plane yet, at least not until they figure out what to do. Then Sam expresses her concerns about the practical difficulties they're facing. She points out that it won't be easy at all to return to that specific spot and clear away all that wreckage properly. They'll need professional-grade equipment and a much stronger, more reliable boat than what they currently have access to. Jerry thinks for a moment and suggests that Derek knows a wealthy man named Basil who might be willing to provide funding for their treasure hunt. They just need to explain the situation to him convincingly, right? Everyone agrees they're ready to commit to this mission, but they all decide together not to tell any other people about it until the timing is right. They also agree not to go near that drug-filled plane again for now. It's just too dangerous and complicated. The group heads to a marine supply store to purchase a good boat and all the necessary diving equipment they'll need. The shopkeeper shows them everything they'd require and quotes them a price of $30,000. Everyone's faces immediately fall with disappointment. That's way more money than they have. Derek explains honestly that he lost everything he owned on his last business venture, and now he's completely broke. The next day, the team scrapes together whatever money they can find between all of them. They manage to buy just a few basic items and head back to the site where they found the plane. Jerry and Derek put on their diving gear and go underwater to try clearing the wreckage. Meanwhile, On the boat, Amanda stays behind. But Amanda can't resist her curiosity. She secretly goes back inside the plane by herself, diving even deeper into the wreckage this time. Then disaster strikes. A dangerous situation suddenly occurs. Her oxygen cylinder hose gets cut somewhere on a sharp piece of metal, and she starts losing air rapidly. On the other side of the wreck, Jerry and Derek are busy pulling various items out of the wreckage and loading them onto the boat. Then Jerry suddenly asks Derek a simple question. "Where's Amanda?" Derek is shocked and confused, saying he assumed she was with Jerry the whole time. This immediately sets off alarm bells in Jerry's mind. He instantly figures out that Amanda probably snuck back inside that dangerous plane again. Without wasting a second, he grabs a spare oxygen cylinder and swims as quickly as possible toward the plane. In a small corner of the aircraft where water hasn't completely filled the space, he finds Amanda desperately gasping for air. Jerry asks frantically what on earth she's doing in here. Amanda makes up a weak excuse, claiming she came looking for him when she didn't see him around the wreck. But Jerry sees straight through her obvious lie. He takes Amanda back to the boat without saying another word, clearly upset with her for taking such a foolish risk. Now everyone decides to stop the day's mission early and head back to the island. All the various items Jerry and his team collected from the ocean floor are now being cleaned one by one, using special chemical treatments to remove corrosion and reveal what's underneath. As soon as one particular item comes out of the chemical bath, everyone's eyes lock onto it with fascination. It's a weird-looking gun, clearly ancient and unlike anything modern. A single word is etched into the metal. Amanda looks closely at the inscription and announces that the word is written in Roman language. Derek, sounding a bit surprised, asks if this could be wreckage from an ancient Roman ship that sank centuries ago. Jerry starts thinking deeply about the word's possible meaning and says it appears connected to a looter, possibly a pirate from long ago. Just then, the team discovers another fascinating item, a silver bell that looks extremely old. A map is carefully etched onto the surface of the bell, and surprisingly, that map shows the exact location where they're currently standing on the island. The mystery is getting deeper and more intriguing by the minute. Then Sam picks up an old book and reads a passage out loud to the group. It mentions something called Silver 4920 and describes a dangerous pirate named Delmas Thomas. Sam continues reading, explaining that this man started his life as a slave, but eventually became the most feared and dangerous pirate to ever sail these seas. Derek smiles with excitement, asking if they might have actually found a clue leading to that pirate's legendary treasure. Jerry's expression becomes very serious as he says he doesn't think this is just a simple pirate story at all. This might actually be the story of a French merchant named Ashvac. He continues explaining that this man was incredibly wealthy. When a terrible war broke out in his country, he loaded absolutely all his wealth, gold, and precious jewels onto a ship and tried to escape to safety. But then the pirate Delmas Thomas attacked and captured his ship. Hearing this fascinating historical story, everyone's eyes gleam with excitement and greed. Derek asks eagerly how much that treasure would be worth in today's money. Jerry replies seriously, "Thousands of millions of dollars." He adds that if they actually manage to find it, all their lives will be changed forever. Everyone's even more motivated and hyped up about the treasure hunt now, but the next morning brings a change in plans. Jerry firmly tells Amanda that she's not allowed to dive again. It's too dangerous after what happened yesterday. After that conversation, everyone else heads back into the depths of the ocean carrying metal detectors. They start scanning everywhere, moving slowly across the seafloor. And then suddenly, one of the machines starts beeping with a slight vibration. Maybe the real door to the treasure is about to open. Underwater, the four friends work together, busy removing sand from that specific spot using special machines. Above on the boat, Amanda sits alone. She's carefully noting the exact location on a map, recording every detail and every point with great care and precision. Meanwhile, deep underwater, Jerry and Derek discover a huge ancient cannon covered in barnacles and coral. It looks like this is definitely part of the ship they've been searching for, but the cannon is so incredibly heavy that they realize they'll have to plan carefully. They'll need to tie it with strong ropes and slowly bring it to the surface. On the boat, Amanda sees something concerning. A Coast Guard police boat approaching their location from a distance. Underwater, Sam also spots the danger and signals to the others. Tension appears on everyone's faces because if the police catch them illegally taking historical items from the sea, absolutely everything could be confiscated and seized. Jerry, Derek, and Sam stay completely still underwater, hiding and waiting patiently for the police to finish their inspection and leave. But then another serious problem arises. Jerry's diving watch starts beeping with an urgent warning. This signals that his oxygen cylinder is running dangerously low. They have absolutely no choice left. They must abandon that heavy cannon down there for now. As they release the air from the buoyancy bags to let the cannon sink, Derek's hand suddenly gets trapped underneath it. He starts falling toward the deep seabed with the cannon, unable to free himself. The massive cannon crashes hard on the ocean floor, completely trapping Derek's hand underneath its enormous weight. If you've made it here, then it is time for you to shine. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and tell us which country you are watching from in the comments. We are eager to meet you. Meanwhile, up on the surface, the police officers are thoroughly searching their boat for anything suspicious. Amanda sits quietly and acts completely natural, so no one suspects them of doing anything illegal. Underwater, the situation is becoming desperate. Oxygen is running out fast, and it's physically impossible to lift the incredibly heavy cannon with just 2 people. Then Sam and Jerry combine all their strength, and with tremendous difficulty, they manage to free Derek's crushed hand from under the cannon. They barely make it back to the boat alive, exhausted but grateful. When the police officers find absolutely nothing suspicious on the boat, they finally leave. That same night, all 4 friends decide they need a break from the stress. They're enjoying themselves at a popular nightclub with flashing lights, loud music, and a dancing crowd everywhere. Amanda is grooving freely on the dance floor, letting loose and having fun. But then Jerry's old friend comes up to him with a warning. He says some strangers have been asking questions about Jerry around the island. They're definitely not locals, and something suspicious is going on. In the middle of all this, Derek gets into a heated fight with a local thug in the club. But Jerry quickly pulls Derek away from there and tells him sternly that they don't need any trouble right now. He reminds Derek they're in the middle of searching for treasure, and they can't afford to draw attention to themselves. The next morning, the team puts on their diving gear once again and goes back into the water to continue their search. But as they descend, they notice another unfamiliar boat docked right next to theirs. Jerry and Derek look at each other with concern. It's crystal clear now that someone is following them and knows what they're doing. The game just became a whole lot more dangerous. After returning from the depths of the ocean, the team suddenly realizes 2 complete strangers have illegally boarded their boat without permission. Jerry and Derek waste absolutely no time and immediately go after these intruders. A fierce fight breaks out on the boat with water splashing everywhere in a terrifying confrontation. But eventually, both intruders give up the fight and flee quickly in their own boat. As one of them runs away, a badge accidentally falls out of his pocket onto the deck. When Jerry picks it up and reads the name, his facial expression changes dramatically. Jerry takes the badge directly to George and says this name looks exactly like one of George's former employees. George just smiles casually and says, lots of people quit his company over the years. He claims he doesn't remember everyone's name. There have been too many. Then George stares directly at Jerry with cold eyes and says he's got plenty of money and all the time in the world. He asks Jerry mockingly what he has besides just this impossible dream of finding treasure. He finishes talking and walks away, leaving Jerry feeling angry and frustrated. In the evening, the team gathers back together to continue planning their next moves. Jerry says anxiously they don't have good equipment or the right supplies. They won't be able to find the treasure successfully like this. They're not properly prepared. Then Derek speaks up with a controversial suggestion. He reminds everyone they still have those cocaine packets from the crashed plane. They could sell the drugs and use that money to buy professional equipment. He warns that if they delay too long, George's people will definitely claim the treasure first. And maybe Sam will even leave Jerry, because he has no money and no power to give her a good life. But Jerry absolutely doesn't agree with this dangerous plan. He refuses to get involved in selling drugs, no matter how desperate their situation becomes. That night, Derek quietly goes to Amanda's room and explains everything to her. His plan, his reasoning, and why he thinks this is their only option. That same night, Amanda and Derek go to the site where the plane crashed. Derek dives into the water again and retrieves several cocaine packages from the plane's wreckage, hiding them from Jerry and Sam. The next day, Derek goes straight to meet with the nightclub owner, that dangerous local gangster named Prem, the same one he'd had a run-in with before. Derek is planning to sell him the cocaine. Sometime later, Jerry gets an unexpected phone call. Derek asks him to meet at the boat immediately. It's urgent. As Jerry arrives at the boat, he finds Derek, Amanda, and Prem already waiting there with several of Prem's armed men. Prem is absolutely furious, asking angrily who dared to steal his stuff and then have the nerve to bring it back to him when he's the boss of this entire island. Prem places a bag in front of Derek on the deck. It contains the cocaine taken from the plane. Jerry looks at the bag and immediately realizes it's from the same plane they all investigated together. Now the situation has become much deeper and more dangerous than just a simple treasure hunt. Prem tells Jerry directly that he doesn't care where anyone got this cocaine. He just wants all his stuff returned immediately, or things won't end well for any of them. Jerry tries desperately to explain they only found these few packets, nothing more. But Prem isn't in the mood to listen to excuses. He pulls out a gun and points it directly at Jerry's face, his finger on the trigger. This isn't just about treasure hunting anymore. Now it's become a matter of life and death. As Prem's loaded gun is pointed straight at Jerry's face, Jerry speaks up quickly, saying they don't have everything Prem thinks they do. They don't have the technology, weapons, or equipment to retrieve all the cocaine from the plane. After hearing this explanation, Prem says it'll cost $3,000 for equipment rental to shut Jerry up. Hearing this demand, Prem hands over a lot of cash to Jerry for the equipment, but as Prem leaves, he gives a terrifying threat. He says clearly that if his drugs don't all come back to him, he'll personally kill the person closest to Jerry. Prem's men drop the three of them back on the island. As they return, Jerry is absolutely furious with Derek for getting them involved with a dangerous drug lord. Meanwhile, when Sam finds out that Jerry is now involved in some kind of drug deal, she clearly states she's not with him anymore. She's breaking up with him because she can't be with someone involved in the drug trade. On the other side of things, Prem uses his money to get a high-tech boat and top-class diving equipment ready. He's planning to get his drugs back himself. Jerry doesn't give up either, despite everything falling apart. He uses specialized equipment attached to the back of the boat to blast strong water currents into the ocean depths. The sand and mud start to clear away, and finally the actual ship wreckage appears clearly. Now the real search for the treasure begins in earnest. Jerry, Derek, and Sam all team up together to find the treasure, putting aside their differences for now. They discover an old ship's bell with SS Aura written on it in faded letters. They now have solid proof that this is definitely the ship they were searching for all along. They can now legally file their official claim on this treasure with the authorities. But the treasure wasn't the only thing down there. Jerry also prepares to properly dispose of the cocaine packets taken from that plane, wanting to end this nightmare. They tie all the drug packets to a long rope and hang them deep underwater in a hidden spot where Prem can find them later. Everything seems to be going according to plan, but then a deadly attack happens without warning. Jerry, who's working on the boat, suddenly hears a terrifying sound from underwater. Screaming, he immediately jumps into the water to investigate. When he gets down there, he sees that a shark has viciously attacked Amanda, and she's bleeding heavily in the water. Jerry immediately takes Amanda up to the boat as fast as possible, but it's too late to save her. Amanda has already stopped breathing. Derek is absolutely heartbroken, crying over her body. In the next scene, Jerry and Derek rush Amanda to the hospital, desperately hoping the doctors can do something. But the doctor tells them sadly that she's already dead. There was nothing they could do. Just then, Sam arrives at the hospital to see Jerry, having heard what happened. After leaving the hospital, Jerry gets a phone call. It's Prem, the nightclub owner and drug lord. Prem asks coldly if they brought all the cocaine packets like they were supposed to. Angry Jerry replies they had a terrible accident, and a friend of theirs just died. Hearing this news, Prem gets out of his car and starts moving aggressively towards Jerry's location. Jerry quickly starts his car engine and speeds away as fast as possible. Now another dangerous chase begins through the island streets. Prem and his armed men constantly chase Jerry's car through narrow streets and around corners. A little further down the road, Jerry stops the car suddenly and tells Derek to take Sam home where she'll be safe. He then stands alone on the road and waits for what's coming. In the meantime, Jerry arranges a meeting with Finn, who works as one of Prem's top men. But this time, Jerry has a clever plan up his sleeve. He takes Finn to a secret location where he'd hidden the gold dagger and the old silver bell they found. Jerry tells Finn honestly that all these historical artifacts are 10 times more valuable than Prem's cocaine. He offers to give everything to Finn on one simple condition. Finn has to work with Jerry now instead of Prem. Finn is genuinely impressed by the gold dagger and the potential value of these treasures. He shakes Jerry's hand, agreeing to the deal. When Finn takes Jerry to meet his boss Prem, they arrive to find something shocking. Several people have already been murdered on Prem's boat. There are bodies everywhere. Now Finn and Jerry carefully go to the lower part of the boat to investigate. But then a gunshot rings out loudly. Someone is systematically shooting Prem's men one by one, executing them. Seeing all this violence, Jerry is completely shocked and terrified. Then George suddenly comes out of the bathroom. His hands are covered in blood, and he looks directly at Jerry with cold eyes. He says calmly that he already met Jerry's partner Prem earlier. He adds that Prem wanted to double-cross him in a deal, so he had absolutely no choice but to kill everyone on the boat. And now he's planning to kill Jerry too. George raises his gun to shoot, but Jerry cleverly escapes at the last second and jumps into the ocean. George orders his men angrily to find Jerry, dead or alive. He doesn't care which, but Jerry had already made a backup plan for exactly this kind of situation. He hides in the lower part of the boat and waits. Finding the right opportunity, he evades all of George's men and escapes. He goes straight to find Derek and asks urgently where Sam is. Derek replies that he dropped her off at the police officer's house for safety, but he doesn't know where she went after that. That evening, Jerry gets another call on his phone, but when he answers, someone else speaks. It's George. Now the whole terrible truth comes out. The police officer was also secretly in league with George the entire time, and he had handed Sam directly over to George as a hostage. George now threatens Jerry coldly, telling him he needs the exact location of that plane with all the drugs, or Sam dies tonight. Jerry has very little time left to save her. Jerry tells George directly that if he wants that cocaine so badly, he'll have to meet Jerry at a specific spot that Jerry chooses. George has no choice but to agree, because he knows Jerry is the only person who can lead him to the hidden drugs now. But then the corrupt police officer tells George that his job is finished. He says he'll kill Sam himself and be done with this whole mess. Hearing this, George loses his temper completely and attacks the police officer, killing him right there on the spot. George wants Sam alive as leverage. On the other side, Jerry sets off alone towards the location George told him, desperately hoping Sam is still alive when he gets there. When he arrives, his eyes go wide with horror. Sam is tied up tightly on the ground, and right next to her lies the police officer's dead body. George now blackmails Jerry one final time. He tells Jerry that if he wants to see Sam alive, he must take George to that plane full of cocaine immediately. Jerry takes a deep breath and explains he has a different deal to propose. He tells George to let Sam go free, and in exchange, he'll give George the location of the entire ship's treasure, worth millions of dollars. George considers this offer carefully and agrees. They take the boat together and head towards the site. As soon as they arrive at the location, Jerry jumps into the water. George immediately grabs his underwater spear gun and jumps in with several of his armed men following close behind. Underwater, George quickly finds the old ship's bell that Jerry told him about. Now he's completely convinced the treasure is hidden right there, just like Jerry promised. Meanwhile, back on land, Sam is still tied up by the dead police officer's handcuffs. She cleverly drags his dead body towards a sharp knife and manages to free herself from the restraints. Now it's time for her to escape and get help. George's other man is standing guard on the boat. Then a motorboat suddenly arrives nearby, creating a distraction. This leads the guard into the water to investigate. Meanwhile, deep inside the plane wreckage, George's other man comes looking for Jerry. Jerry and Derek bolt away as fast as they can swim, but then the guy shoots a spear arrow and it hits Derek in the leg. The arrow has a rope attached to it, and the guy starts pulling Derek towards him through the water. But Jerry isn't going to let that happen. He quickly fires another arrow from his spear gun, hitting the guy directly in the face. As blood starts pouring into the water, hungry ocean sharks immediately tear into the wounded man, and that's the brutal end of him. Back with George, he's about to fire a spear arrow at Jerry, but Jerry cleverly turns an oxygen cylinder around so it's pointing the opposite way. Just as George is preparing to shoot, Jerry hits the cylinder's valve hard with something metal. As the valve opens suddenly, the cylinder shoots towards George like a missile due to the compressed air escaping. The heavy cylinder smashes directly into the plane's fuel tank, and with a massive explosion, the entire plane blows up in a huge fireball underwater. George is killed instantly. 6 weeks later, the ocean is calm and peaceful again, but the story isn't quite over yet. Jerry, Derek, Sam, and a new person named Danny are working on a new mission together. They head back to the exact location of the ship wreckage to continue searching for treasure. As they start pulling up that heavy cannon they found earlier, the steel wire suddenly breaks under the enormous weight. Due to the heavy load, the cannon falls back into the ocean's depths. As the cannon crashes down, the boat lurches violently and crashes directly into the ship's wreckage below. This powerful impact breaks an old piece of wooden planking on the ancient ship. And inside that broken section, a beautiful glint of gold shines brightly through the water. Sam, Jerry, and the rest of the team are absolutely overjoyed. They've finally found the real treasure. If you've made it this far, this is a sign that you are destined for this. Like the video and hit the subscribe button in order not to miss future exciting videos. Thanks for watching.